Hi everyone, welcome to week 12 of our class. As you've probably seen by now, the week 12 is much shorter than what you might be used to because specifically I want you to take your time and read this book, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. This is one of the books that was required to purchase this semester. If you do not have the book, I would email me and I can send you a link to a copy of it online. It is available online, so if you are not in possession of the book, make sure you get the online version immediately because you will be writing your second writing assignment based off this book. So you really don't have time to wait to get that. So please read the entirety of Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. I have this lecture from David Blight again. I think that you'll find interesting, very much on the life of Frederick Douglass, who's a pivotal role in the emancipation of slaves and the Underground Railroad. So I think you'll find this a really interesting lecture. I know that I did. This week's discussion 12 is going to ask you to connect something that you've read in Harriet Jacobs' book, Incident in the Life of a Slave Girl, to something that you've read in chapter 11 of Foner. So specifically, I'm just looking for you to look at the Foner chapter and say, okay, I'm reading this book by Harriet Jacobs, who is an actual slave. What can I connect? What is actually from her book matches up with the research that we have from historians like Eric Foner? So I'm looking for you to make a connection between those two chapters. By Thursday, you should post that connection. I'm looking for your post to be 125 words in length, and your follow-up post should be 75 words by Sunday. So as I mentioned, you're reading this book because your second writing assignment will be based on that. And so here is your second writing assignment. It's due Friday, May 4th by midnight online. For your paper, I'm looking for you to discuss this idea of agency. And I've defined agency down here. An action or an intervention, especially such as to produce a particular effect. So agency is something that's kind of new to history in the sense of slaves. I'd say about the 1970s, historians started to consider maybe slaves didn't like being slaves. Maybe slaves fought back against slavery. And I said the 70s. It goes back a little bit after World War II, the 50s and the 60s. But it's kind of a new concept for history and historians to develop that slaves may have had a role in pushing back against slavery. So I want you to use our textbook, specifically chapter 11, and I want you to use Harriet Jacobs' book to consider how did slaves have power? And I'm not necessarily looking for you to specifically find violence or specifically find these huge acts of rebellion, but consider things like silent sabotage. Consider things like what Harriet Jacobs does, and use that as the basis of your paper. Agency can be something as simple as breaking a tool and silent sabotage, or agency can be running away. These are slaves using their power to sort of make a difference in the world of slavery. So I'm kind of giving you a lot of leeway there to answer this question. I have said that you can use David Blight's lectures, and that's true. If there was something from Blight's lectures, the three lectures that you will have read or listened to by now, you can use that. You do need to cite that it came from Blight, but that is the only online source you are allowed to use. I will not accept any papers that have online sources. I only want to see citations from Blight, Foner, and Jacobs. As your papers go, please don't put your name on it. I like your 800 number. Um, you don't need to do all. I know a lot of professors like the formatting, the cover pages, um, headings, things like that. I do not care about any of that. I just want your paper. So put your 800 number and start typing your paper. Single space is fine. This is still from when I was teaching face to face, and I wanted them double space. But you can turn it in however you like. I usually format it myself to what I like. Please do include page numbers and make sure that you have in-text citations, that you're citing the books and the page number of where your information is coming from. I thought I read this over a little better. You're just submitting your paper on Vanco Hall. Don't worry about bringing a copy to class. And also, if you're interested, like I did for the last writing assignment, if you go to the Writing Center, have your paper edited, they will email me if you ask them to. You do have to ask them to email me. They will email me and tell me that you worked on their paper with them, and if you do that, I will add 5 points to your grade. I do want to mention that I've offered this for probably 5 years, and not a lot of people take advantage of it. But I don't think that I've ever had somebody go to the writing center and they not get an A on the paper. So the writing center can be a really great resource to really bring your writing together and clarify things. So I would highly recommend a trip to the writing center. Even if you're an online student, you can go there. You can make a virtual appointment. So don't let the fact that you're not on campus dissuade you from making an appointment with the writing center. On the second page, I have the rubric that I will be using to grade your paper. So please make sure that you are following these. You want to be 4 pages in length. Make sure you set out a clear thesis statement. Use support from 2 course readings. On the last writing assignment, a lot of people did not include enough citations. So as long as your citations from Jacobs and Foner, or maybe adding Blight in there, you're good. So make sure you're citing both books. But I think this is overall self-explanatory. I would take some time and read it. Again, forgive those few spots where I forgot to take things out from the online class, but it doesn't really change anything here. So this is due next Friday, not this coming week, but next Friday. So please email me if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing your discussion post, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.